Okay, let's talk about you.
Sure.
Let's talk about your business, Strength Energy Bars.
Year 4. Can you believe it's year 4?
How did we meet?
We met, who referred us? Someone put us together in contact through the main ingredient to be on your show.
Was that 2 years ago?
That was at least 2 years ago, yeah, because I didn't even have the store.
I feel like I've known you for like 20 years.
You're pretty likable. You're like family now.
I know, I love when you lie to me. It's fantastic.
You're like family now. I miss when I'm not on your show.
I know.
No, I think we were just, I'd bring you treats.
You do.
We were just
You're the
getting
first
a new
person
store.
whose product I ate on the air.
I know, that was one of my favorite episodes.
It was funny.
When you're actually eating on the air. We should do that. We should replay that one. That was a good one. Yeah, I should have brought you some new flavors. We're always testing some new stuff.
We're going to get into the flavors after this because I don't want to jump too far ahead.
I know. So yeah, year 4, which has flown by. But 1 year was kind of out of the house, just getting feet wet, testing the market. Is this actually something people want?
Okay, but why? Why bars? Why?
Why bars?
And you were doing this. People don't know that you are...
I'm a CPA by trade, yes. So
what makes a CPA decide, man, I'm going to make some bars, I'm going to run my own business?
I think I've always kind of been entrepreneurial, and I was at home with the kids. The twins were young, Cole was young as well. So
this was the first kick at the business cat though, right? Or did you do other businesses?
No, this is the first real kick at, and it wasn't even intentional. It was literally, I was so busy and looking for something grab and go to eat and buying protein bars off the shelf, which I've always had protein bars in my life. Since I was 16, 17, it was something I would always do. So I was very familiar with that category of what was on the shelf. But I guess as I was getting older and your body chemistry changes, certain things in those bars was making my stomach turn. I wasn't feeling great after I ate them.
It's getting all the crap is known.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think there's more chemicals in the bars now than there maybe was 20 years ago when I started eating them. So I thought, well, I'm at home, and I'm always making oatmeal on the stove for myself and playing around with walnuts and whatever, bananas in it. So maybe I'll just try to make it into a bar format. So, every month I would just tinker around because, stay-at-home moms are so busy. But there's also a little bit of time to do other stuff in the house, right? Kids are playing.
Bit of downtime.
There's some downtime, and so I would choose to cook on those downtimes and kind of work on this little project for my family. And that's all it was. It was never going to be, I'm going to grow this business, it's going to go to the market. It was just going to be, I'm going to have something in the fridge for the kids and myself to eat that's healthy. The second I got the formulation right, and Tim, my husband, really enjoyed them, and the kids really enjoyed them. I'm a natural connector sharer.
Get out of here,
As you all know, I love sharing and connecting people and introducing people to things that I love. And so I would share the bars with friends and family, and the feedback was always, these are amazing. I can't believe there's nothing like this on the market. And so word just kind of started to spread, where I was getting messages from friends of friends saying, hey, I hear you're making these bars and they're really good. And so it kind of naturally just grew out of the house like that. To the point where, you can't do that in your home from a health food standpoint.
Totally.
Right? So then I started looking for rental. Yeah, it's illegal. So I started looking for rental kitchens and then did the rental kitchen thing for 2 years. And that was, when I look back now, that was probably the hardest part was, half-day kindergarten, being at a rental kitchen half-day, having to sell everything I make because you can't store it, right? Managing, lugging everything to the kitchens because you can't store stuff at a lot of these rental kitchens.
Right.
So
that's a hard part of your product, right?
Yes.
People buy it because it's fresh. It's a fresh product. Well, fresh thing is only fresh for a little while.
Right? X amount of weeks, but still, where would I store it? I can't store it at home, right? So it was constant managing the product, the kids, the deliveries. As it grew, certain retailers wanted to try them in their stores, and I remember the twins were like 3 or 4 years old, and bringing them up to corporate offices with me delivering bars.
Don't worry about the kid. Anyway, I got to tell you something.
And being like, please behave. Just let mommy do this one delivery. But that's what stay-at-home moms who want to become entrepreneurs do, right? And kudos to Winnipeg, because everyone I came across was so great in terms of wanting to see it grow. And When we got our new space, that's when things really started to take off. Everything's centralized, we can control production, have a little bit of a storefront for walk-ins and pickups, have my meetings in one space, and then just have stability and be able to scale up a bit. So.
How did you handle each stage of growth? And it's all stages, right? From you making them for people, or making them for your family, to making them for people, to actually selling them, to renting kitchen space. What was the thought process when you were actually going to sell them, and now I'm going to rent space to do it?
Right, and that's huge decisions for a lot of people is, do I have enough demand to do this?
But if I'm renting space, if I don't have any?
That's where, you got to constantly be creating ways to engage with your community, and sampling for food products. I think sampling is huge. You got to get out to the shows and.
Right, but that's, again, you have 3 kids here, so now you're making them, you're in the rental space, you're making sure that you're out there so people know about it, you're sampling them. When you look back now, because when you're in it, you're just doing. You don't think about what you're doing. Well, of course you plan it out, but you just do.
Huge sacrifices.
So when you go look back now, 4 years later.
I can't believe I was able to do it, honestly.
Don't you wonder how you did all that?
I do, but then I read a lot of stuff that, with successful entrepreneurs who people say, oh, you were an overnight success, but that's never the case.
Right.
There's years and years of sacrificing late nights, quitting. I mean, I can tell you I've quit a gazillion times.
Yeah, of course.
And at midnight, coming home from the kitchen, I can't do this anymore, I quit.
And one thing will happen, someone will contact you, or you'll get some sort of customer that will...
The next morning you wake up to 5 orders or something, and you're like, oh, well, I have to. I love my product, I love my community, I love this business. And then you just muscle up and plow through. But I mean, being a mom with 3 children and trying to manage that adds a bit more dimension to time management. And so you have to be very productive when you are in the space of, for me, cooking, making the product. You have to be extremely productive. You have to be extremely aware of the time spent outside on events and whatnot. You can't, as much as I would love to do every event that comes across our table right now, we can't. But I hope to be able to do as many as I can as we grow our team and be able to train people to go out and represent Crank Energy the right way. So the decision-making process is very intuitive. If it feels right to me, I do it. I don't ever put myself in a position that I don't feel right about it. And I think that's important. I may feel uncomfortable because certain things aren't my forte. Sales is not really my forte.
And sometimes when you're selling, it's hard to sell yourself because you almost feel like you're bragging.
You don't want to talk about your product all the time, right? Yeah. So that's not comfortable for me. But I've learned that you have to live in those uncomfortable spaces in small business to grow. Right. So being a CPA, I can sit in my financials all day and have a blast. I mean,
you're weird. So
I'm weird.
Oh God.
Balance the books, do invoicing, collections. That would be, for me, projections, costing, that would be a great day.
Right, but ideally that's where it can lead to, right? When the boys get older, it's amazing how when you have kids and you're in it and you're doing the work.
But that's not how I'm going to grow. I can outsource that to a CPA,
right,
and let them take care of my books and still have a good handle on it and check in now and then. I need to grow by focusing on the areas I am so uncomfortable with.
Like what?
Operations. Look, we're buying this flow wrapper. I don't know a whole lot about machinery and production lines and efficiencies and manufacturing and quality control and all that
but I'm sure
stuff.
there's a lot of things that you're uncomfortable with that you didn't know that you learned as this business grew.
But that's why you have to sit in that. That's where the learning comes as an entrepreneur, is you sit in the spaces that are a bit uncomfortable, because that's where you learn to grow your business. Sales, HR is not a strong point, staffing.
The other one, like you said, buying the packaging machine is super uncomfortable because you're partnering with a ton of cash.
We're parting with a significant amount of money.
And you have to trust that you made that right decision.
Yes. Will the orders come?
Honey, just so you know, we're not going to get that car this year.
We're not going on a trip.
Yep, because we're getting that.
But that's how Crank's always reinvested anything back into the business. I've tried to do it to where we're not afraid or struggling or so stressed about the money, and that may be why it's taken 4 years to get to a point where we could buy a machine. But now we've got orders, we've got potential to grow, you know, bigger across Canada with the right packaging and temperature controlled shipping, which is a whole new market for us too. So those are the things that we're working on that are very uncomfortable, but exciting at the same time, because that's where I'm going to learn and grow. And this little thing that started in my kitchen is going to be able to access a ton of people, which I know Cranked Energy Bars help people live a healthier lifestyle in general, and that makes me pretty happy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the evolution. Let's talk about the flavors and stuff that you have going on.
Sure.
Right? So
Lots.
let's hear it.
Too many. Well, we have like 12 flavors. Now we started with peanut butter coconut. I say that's the OG of our brand.
OG.
It's the OG, the peanut, and it's still 60-70% of our business.
Really?
Yeah, people love the simplicity of peanut butter and coconut. And I like that too, because I think we crave simplicity in general.
And it's always the same, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's nice to have
basic.
a go-to, and then you have all these other flavors. Now I'm going to try some of these, and I can always go back to what I know I love, right?
The stability of the one you love is right there, and you can throw in some fun flavors.
Right.
Because people do like variety. Variety packs are fun to do. Salted caramel, mint chocolate chip, espresso. We've got espresso's pretty good, yeah. What else? We're working on a cookies and cream gluten-free. We just tried a strawberry.
Big demand for gluten-free? Do people ask you about gluten-free?
Yeah, it's getting more popular. We've got 2 gluten-free, dairy-free bars, and there's usually a request for additional flavors that are dairy-free and gluten-free. So it's hard though. You got to get the right protein, and our gluten-free process is done separately from our regular process, so there's no contamination. So we only blend gluten-free certain days of the week. So to add in more flavors on those days changes production, which again is not my forte.
Right.
So we're constantly rejigging what's going on in the kitchen and what's being blended and whatnot based on the orders that we get. So yeah, gluten-free is definitely getting more popular as people become a little intolerant to certain foods, and we do some custom orders, whatnot, but we're not a custom bar company.
Right. That'd be.
It's tough. Yeah, custom bars are tough, but locally in Winnipeg we do have several customers who might be allergic to some of the small ingredients, and we can easily do that. But bigger scale, we can't do custom bar making. I'd like to think that we're kind of the flagship store on Portage is like an energy bar bakery, which is totally different. So instead of going to a shop this morning and getting muffins or donuts, Kevin.
I didn't get donuts, I got muffins.
You come to the Cranked Energy store and mix and match for your office meetings.
That'd be good.
A box of energy bars to take. So I see that kind of being first in the market.
Actually, it's a good idea. I like that.
As we grow and have more hours and more staff ability to do that kind of stuff, and maybe introduce some bite-sized products. There's so much potential for our blends to be able to do different things with them. I'm excited.
I can't imagine you in an office pushing numbers all day, like crunching numbers.
Oh yeah, I was manager
Seriously?
at KPMG and I loved it. I
Really?
did, I loved it. You know,
Did you meet a lot of people? Were you talking
at
to
a
a lot of
time.
people?
I was just one of the keynote speakers at the CPA conference, the Manitoba conference couple weeks ago, and I was honored that they asked me to speak.
Every time you tell me stuff like this, I just find it very strange. You know what I mean?
But
Not strange that you're actually
Right.
great with numbers, just strange that you have
I'm a
another
CPA.
life.
I have.
You've been lying to me this whole time with another life.
With like the bookworm kind of.
Yeah, you're a geek.
I'm a very good CPA because to be a CPA in a public practice in assurance, so auditing, you have to enjoy talking to people,
Fully.
right? So you have
Well, they
to
have to have confidence in you, first of all, right?
and you have to get over the fear of asking questions, asking the wrong questions, and then translating those answers into files for a partner to review and give you feedback on. It's the training you get as a CPA in a public practice is one of the best trainings for life. And I spoke about this at the conference where you become very analytical, you are able to analyze not just financial statements, but businesses in general. You become confident in yourself, you manage a team, you manage probably 10 files at once. You've got different partners coming at you with different requests. It's very time-driven, deadline-driven. So
It's almost like training ground for what you're doing now, right?
it is. You know, I'm a mom and a wife, and I like to work out, and I've got Cranked Energy. And
Do you work out?
Work on a little.
Do you like to work out?
And I still facilitate for the CPA
I
program.
don't even get it. Kevin, it's we're gonna go to a spin class at
5 a.m.
5 a.m. I'm like, no.
For me, that's just part of who I've always been. So to not get a workout in.
I'm not saying not get a workout in, I'm saying at 5 a.m.
I've always been,
do it.
I'm a morning person though. I've always been, like since I was young. So for me, once I get home from work, I don't tend to want to go out much after
Right, it's
that.
like you use every ounce of energy, and
In
when
the
you're at home,
morning.
I'm not leaving again. Joanna's like that.
Is she?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's up at 5, well, just like you. She's
Right.
up early, teaching spin classes,
Yeah.
doing all sorts of stuff during the day, and
Very
when she comes home,
productive.
she's good for about the first hour, maybe
Yeah.
2, and then it's like
more.
you're out of the
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
And then the book comes out, or the show, or hanging out with the kids.
Right, and
That's,
then-
we're done.
Yeah, done.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I think the CPA thing will always be a part of me. I mean, I still facilitate courses for them online once or twice a year, because that fuels that need for me to give back to my profession and teach other CPAs coming up through the program, helping them get to that stage, because I think it's a designation that a lot of people aren't sure about. And then once you have that designation, the doors and the abilities to you know, do things will never leave. If Cranked Energy for some reason doesn't go how we think, I have my CPA designation. It's part of who I am, and there's opportunity still there, right?
I know you have a backup plan, like, of course, whatever. Again, you're thinking if
Yeah.
this doesn't go one way, then I got something else.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine you.
I don't want it to go,
personality-wise.
yeah, I would
Well.
never want to. I don't want to ever go back to an office type job.
Right.
I knew very early that that wasn't where I wanted to be long term. So once I had our oldest and I went on mat leave, I knew right then that I wasn't going to be going back to an office job. It just wasn't for me. So that's when you kind of have to start to create your own vision for where you see yourself being once the kids are in school full time.
Sure.
So that was always, what am I going to do when the kids are in school full time? And then it just kind of evolved by being who I am to the core, you know, it just evolved into that. So.
You spend a-